So in our previous class, we started discussing about introduction to routers. Almost 7 points we have seen, like what is router, type of routers, functions of router, Cisco router types, like fixed and modular routers, Cisco router categories, like a branch router, network edge router, aggregation routers, and service provider routers. Router external components and internal components. Remember? So to enable communication between from one network to another network, we must use routers. So this router is a layer 3 device, network layer device. It's enable communication between two or more different logical networks. IP address of the router is default gateway for all devices in the LAN. Agree? And router functions is packet switching and packet forwarding, sending IP traffic from one interface to another interface, like LAN port to WAN port, or LAN port to LAN port, or WAN port to WAN port. So packet sending the traffic from one interface to another interface within a router is packet switching. Sending IP traffic from one router to another router is packet forwarding. So router functions and Cisco router types. Remember Cisco router types like fixed router and modular router. Fixed router port is fixed, speed is fixed. Modular router slot system is available. We can add more slots. Agree? And then Cisco router categories based upon environment, based upon your requirement, with service provider network, a head office network, a branch network, small office, home office. So based upon the type of like requirement, we have different categories. So Cisco majorly differentiated into three categories. Branch routers are recommended to use for branch offices, small offices. And network edge and aggregation router is recommended to use for head office and camp offices. Service provider addresses are recommended for ISPs. These are categories. And router external components. Every router must have three type of components we call LAN interface, WAN interface, admin interface. So LAN ports are Ethernet, fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet. LAN port used to connect a local network. And WAN port types are serial ports, normal serial, smart serial, right? And admin ports are console port for initial configuration and auxiliary port for remote login. And internal components of router. Like router internal components are RAM, running configuration files will store, NVRAM, startup configuration, ROM, flash. These all are internal components of router. So this is what yesterday we discussed, and today we'll continue with initial configuration of router, like a brand new router, how to configure it. What are the things we required? So first requirement is, so first thing you need to understand, by default, Cisco router switches do not have any default configurations. For example, this is C2811 model, and this router having LAN port. Consider LAN port type is fast Ethernet port, port number 0/0. By default, no IP. And what is the status of this LAN port? Shutdown state. Even router WAN port, it's a serial ports, port number 0/0. No IP address. Is also shut down. Then how to configure? So that is the point here. Cisco routers and switches do not have any default IP address or configuration. Hence, it requires to use console port for initial configuration. So we have to use router console port. Okay. So from router console port connected to one device using console cable. From router console port to PC COM port. It can be PC, it can be laptop, whatever. You can connect it to your device. So first requirement is what? Is the first requirement? Console cable. This is mandatory. The next requirement is like how we can access router console port. We need some softwares actually. Depends upon your machine. If it is a Windows machine or if it is Linux, depends upon the OS. If it is a Windows, like we can need to use PuTTY software or Hyperterminal, Terratem. If it is a Linux, Minicom. So these softwares we call emulation softwares. These are two basic things we required actually. Console cable and emulation softwares. Okay. Then what is the task for today? What we need to configure? A first task is when to set one host name to device actually. Host name. And next by default, we don't have any default IP address. So we need to assign an IP address to LAN port. So next task is IP address to LAN interface. What is the status of LAN port? Shut down. Need to activate it. Activate LAN port. Out of all ports in the router, which is the most important port? Console port. So that console port should be secured. Otherwise, everyone can access your router actually. Your junior engineers can access it. So it should be high secured. We need to protect it. How? By setting a passwords. So set password to console port. And finally, we need to enable telnet functionality for remote access. Enable telnet means VTY. VTY passwords need to be configured. So this is a basic task for today actually. Okay. If you forget the password, yeah, we have some mechanism to recover it actually. Password recovery concept we'll see in the last session. In the last classes, in advanced classes, we'll see it actually. So to configure Cisco routers, Cisco IOS software can support for two methods actually. One is GUI method, graphical user interface. And one more is CLI method, command line interface. You can just open your web browser and you can keep your router IP address. So then the dashboard will open like login if you ask. Like your home-based routers, how it through web browser we used to configure, right? You lost the login page. Once you enter your credentials, it will open the D-Link, and there we can configure IP address, you can change. That is what GUI actually. So even Cisco routers also can support for that mode. But we don't use that mode in real networks actually. GUI. Mostly we use what? Command lines. So through commands, because like professionally you're going to be configuring devices actually. So we use commands to in security point of view and configurations point of view, we use CLI only. So how to configure Cisco router switches with CLI mode in our training program, we are going to be learning and we are going to be hands-on practice with the CLI mode only actually. Clear? Okay. The next point is Cisco IOS versions have different type of iOS versions. The basic versions are 12.2, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3. This is 12.4 and later like 12.41, 12.4b, 12.4a or 15.1 the latest, 15.7. So 12.4 and above iOS versions. This 12.123 iOS versions can only support for IPv4 networks, whereas 12.4 and later iOS versions can support to implement protocols with IPv4 and IPv6 and some advanced protocols also like BGP, no redistribution. These things can support this 12.4 and later. Tunneling, creation of tunnelings, these things actually. So whenever you're going to configure a router, first you need to test or check your router which iOS version it has. If it is 12.123, then you can work in only with IPv4. If it is 12.4 and later iOS version, can support with IPv4 and IPv6 also. Get it? Yeah. And let's try to understand Cisco IOS modes. Cisco IOS modes have different type of modes. Like for junior engineers, for junior administrators in different mode, senior administrators in different mode, and different tasks you can do in different modes. Let's understand the Cisco IOS modes. So when you log into router, very first mode it is user mode. Like we can identify using the symbols. Symbols are very important. So router with greater than sign, greater than symbol. Router with greater than symbol, you can see. This mode name is we call user mode. So this user mode for junior engineers, junior administrators. So what is the roles of junior administrator? What we can do in user mode? Being in the user mode, we can do only network traffic monitoring only. Only monitoring, network traffic monitoring. So means assigning IP address to LAN port or WAN port, setting a passwords, configuration of routing protocol is all not possible. So we can't do these things in user mode. So user mode is basically designed for junior administrators for network monitoring purpose. So very few basic commands only we can executable in router user mode. Even we cannot get complete information of router. So you want to check router RAM information or any like running configurations or startup configuration information, we can't verify here actually. Basic information only can get. Very basic information. And very few basic commands only can executable here. Like a ping command, trace route command, no login command, enable command. These things will be working user mode. So next mode is router with hash symbol. So this mode, name of this mode we called, it is privileged mode. Privileged mode. Privileged mode for senior admin. For what purpose? Even being on the privileged mode, also configurations cannot be made. Can't do configurations actually. Okay. Then what we can do in privileged mode? So privileged mode for verification and monitor. So verification means all information, complete router information we can get in privileged mode. Router software information, router hardware information. Like your router is 12.1 or 12.4 or 15.1 iOS version, you can check in privileged mode. And router status, like how many LAN ports are available and what type of LAN ports. These are Ethernet ports or fast Ethernet ports. And how many serial ports are available. And what is the status of LAN port? IP is assigned or not? If it is assigned, what IP is assigned? And it is a down or active. The RAM size, NVRAM size, flash memory size, all hardware information. So router is already configured with what configuration is configured, what are the plans is configured, how much bandwidth is enabled on so and so interface, and which protocol is enabled, which protocol is running, how many protocols are running, all complete information of router we can get in which mode? Privileged mode. By seeing the hash symbol, we can get. All of you following me, guys?
Yes, sir.
But unless we see some kind of practical, it might be.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
continue with the practical also, yes.
Thank you.
So first understand these modes, then we can start doing the practices also, okay? Yeah. So this all things we can do in privileged mode, and you can identify the privileged mode by seeing the symbol, which is hash mode. But our main target is what? We need a configuration. So we can start configuration the router from next mode is router with config hash. Router with config hash. This name of this mode we called global configuration mode. Global from global configuration mode, we can start doing configurations actually. So configurations cannot be possible in user mode and privileged mode. So even so setting the host name and IP address, everything from global configuration mode we can start. Under global configuration mode, again there are different type of sub modes like -if. We call it is interface mode. hyphen if is interface mode. Okay. Next, hyphen line, hyphen line is line mode. Hyphen router. Call it is router mode. Then for what purpose interface mode? Interface mode used to configure LAN and WAN interfaces. Like you want to assign IP address to LAN port in interface mode, assigning IP address to WAN port in interface mode. Then line mode, like any modifications you want to do for LAN interface or WAN interface, it can be done in only interface mode actually. So by default, LAN port is shut down. You want to activate it in interface mode. You want to make down interface mode. Setting IP address to LAN port or WAN port, or changing or modifying or removing, or setting a bandwidth, enabling a protocol, like any modification you want to do for LAN and WAN interfaces, it can be possible only in interface mode. Like how we can get interface mode, we need to switch from user mode to privilege mode to global config to interface. This is the method actually. Okay. And line mode, setting passwords. Setting passwords to console port, auxiliary port, VTY port, VTY. So to setting the passwords, line mode actually. And router mode for to configure routing protocols. So these all are for based on our task, we can have respective modes are available. The three modes comes under global configuration. Interface mode, line mode, and router. All of you following me? It's clear? Aishwarya, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
See now, I given some task to you.
Okay.
The task is I asked you to check a router iOS version is 15.1 or 12.4 or some any other versions. Like which mode do you use to check that information?
Privilege mode.
Excellent. And I given one more task to you. I'm asking to configure Aishwarya configure LAN interface IP address. Then which mode you need to go to assign IP address to interface? LAN
Uh,
interface.
router configuration IF mode.
Right. Global configuration to IF interface mode.
Yes.
Okay. So based upon a task, thank you. So
Yeah.
based upon the task, we have respective modes. If your task is setting a password to console port, go to line mode. If your task is configuring routing protocols, go to router mode. If your task is network monitoring, so use user mode. Like your task is you want to verify the router information, software and hardware information, privilege mode. So based upon your task, you have a respective modes, guys. Don't try to assigning IP address in user mode or privilege mode. The command will not accept actually. So first you check always you are working on which mode. Remember in Linux you have some working directory, present working directory. Always you check, right? So similarly here, always you need to verify you are working on which mode. You're in user mode, how can I identify symbols? You're in user mode, oh, I'm in user mode, I can do monitoring only. If you are in privileged mode, yes, I'm in privileged mode, I can get all information. Interface mode, line mode, router mode, like that. It's clear, everyone? Shall we do start practices?
Alud, it may varies to company also, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
they do privilege based on their, the company has a different kind of setups. Based on that, this if line and routers can be changed based on their roles also, right? So it may not be the similar kind of conditions for all the companies. It may differ to a different companies, right?
You're telling like in different vendors routers you're using, right?
Yes.
Yes, agree. Yeah, agree with you. Yes. So not only Cisco, like many vendors in the market, like companies will use some different routers, different vendor routers also. But thing is, a concept is same for all any vendor actually. Only
Right. Okay. Mhm.
a method will be changed little bit. How we
Oh,
are assigning IP address, how we are setting a password. That method will be changed different vendor to different vendor. So, but a concept and protocols, everything is same for all vendors actually. So if we learn about Cisco routers, or mostly in Cisco routers only, like 20-30% will be non-Cisco devices. So still, if we know how to configure Cisco routers, then remaining other vendors also almost the same. Just 5 to 10% difference. Then that you can get from user manual to how to work with other vendors actually. Okay. Yeah. So what is the first task? Before doing any practices, first task is diagram. Take Cisco 2811 model number router, and from router connect to switch and switch to 5 users, minimum 3 users, device 1, device 2, device 3, device 4, device 5. 5 devices are connected from router LAN port, which is fast Ethernet port number 00. And default status it is a shutdown. We do not have IP address also. For real networks, I mean, if you are configuring real router, then we need a console cable from router console port, connect to a console cable to PC. From this PC, install some softwares like PuTTY software or Hyperterminal software. No, using this software, we can access the router actually. That is the method. But in the packet tracer, we don't require this console cable connectivity because directly can click on the router, we will get CLI mode. Then we can start configuration. Got it? And what is our task? The task is this. Okay. Here, 2811 router. Switch to 960 switch. Device 1, device 2, device 3, device 4, device 5. 5 devices. Okay. Now connections. Can use straight cable. Click on routers. So these ports are available on router right now, like auxiliary port, console port, fast Ethernet 0001. There are two LAN ports. I'm starting from fast Ethernet 00. On switch, there are 24 ports. You can use any port. Yeah. Or you can use automatic cable also from switch to PCs. Done. So connectivity is done. Now configuration part. How real routers we need to configure console port, console cable, putty software, those things. But in packet tracer, we don't require that actually. You can directly click on router. So have option called what? CLI. You can use CLI. So maximize it. Yeah. It is asking one question. Continue with configuration dialog. Please answer yes or no. Is asking the question. So continue with configuration is yes, but it is not asking the configuration. It is asking continue with configuration dialog. The dialog is not required. We can skip it by typing no command. So instead of no, if you use yes, if you type yes and enter, interaction will start. Question and answers. It will ask you one question. Which interface you want to assign IP address? Now you answer. I will ask the question. So what IP address you want to assign? Like again answer, again question, again answer. Like interaction will start. That we don't require because we know what are the modes are inside the Cisco IOS and which mode how to works. We know that actually. You can skip it. So type no and enter. Yeah, you can see. So tell me guys which mode it is now. What is the name of this mode?
User mode.
User mode. How we can say the user mode?
Because of the arrow symbol.
Console mode.
Yeah, console pays okay, but router IOS modes explained, right?
Greater than
It-
symbol.
Based on
Greater than
symbol.
symbol. Router with greater than symbol is we call user mode. So can I assign IP address here? So can I set the password here?
No.
Can we configure any configurations? No.
Small
So
test.
user mode for network monitoring on. Very few basic commands only can be executable here. Like a ping command, traceroute command, enable command, telnet command. These very simple commands we can do it actually. But now our task is what? We need to configure a router. So we need to switch to next mode. So how to switch to next mode? If you type enable command and enter. See, so we switch to next mode. So what is the name of this mode?
Privilege mode.
Privilege mode.
How we can say it's a privileged mode?
Hash symbol.
Hash symbol.
That symbol. Yes. So yeah, at least can we do configurations in privileged mode?
Yes.
No.
No. Only verification and
Configuration
monitoring.
can start from
Okay, global
global
configuration.
configuration.
Right.
It's a privileged mode. Then what we can do in privileged mode?
Verification.
Information.
Verification.
All the
Verification and
So we
information.
can
monitoring.
get complete router information here. Let us check router information. So to check any information of router, commonly we can have command is show command. Show IP address, show password, show version, show running config, show startup config, show IP table, show IP routing table, show IP interface brief, show RIP protocol, show OSPF protocol. Like all, any verification command can commonly start with what? Show. In other vendors, like a HP routers or no Juniper routers, some other vendors, same commands, but instead of show, the command is display. Display IP address, display password, display routing table, display show RIP, display OSPF. So it's a little bit different that here Cisco is using show commands. They're using display commands actually like that. Okay. Example, show version, enter. After getting show version command, I can see first line, Cisco IOA software information. So Cisco IOA software is 12.4. It's 12.4. So 12.4 means it can work with IPv4
And IPv6.
and IPv6
Physics
also.
also.
Yes. So this is software information. And ROM contains bootstrap program, like a BIOS. Like your PCs, we call it as a BIOS. In routers, we call bootstrap for boot instruction purpose. And system image file name. This is image name actually. By seeing the extensions .bin. .bin files are IOS files, image files, OS operating system files actually. Okay, this is the complete name of IOS name, file name, and this is all the product information. You don't require it. You can see, oh, sorry, you can see last line. What is showing the last line?
More.
More means we have still some more information. You press enter, or you can use space bar. You can get complete information. In the top lines, you can get starting few lines, you can get software information. Bottom lines, you can see hardware information. This which model router it is. It's a 2811 series. And RAM size like 5120 kilobytes of memory. And two fast Ethernet ports are available. Two LAN ports. Each port can support 100 Mbps. 239 kV of NVRAM, very low memories. 239 kVs of NVRAM, like a hard disk. 6 to 720 kilobytes of flash memory, flash cards. These all are hardware information you can get using show version command. So show version command will give about router software and hardware information. Okay. Yeah. Next, show startup hyphen config. So this command, which information you can get using this command? Startup config command.
NVRAM.
NVRAM. See, if you purchase a brand new hard disk, if you open it, do you get any files in hard disk? No, it's empty, right? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
You purchase one brand new hard disk. If you open it, can you get any files there inside? No, it'll be empty. Similarly, NVRAM is a brand new router. So if you give the show startup config, enter, what is showing here? Startup config is not present, means configuration is not at present. We didn't configure anything. We need to configure that will primarily store in RAM, and from RAM we need to copy to NVRAM. Then you can see the configurations in startup config. Okay. And if you say show running hyphen config command, which is RAM, then you can see the status of current configuration. Current configuration. What is the host name? By default, router name is router only. Enter, 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 enter. So I can see interface fast Ethernet port number 00. No IP address. And what is the default status?
Shut down.
Shut down. Even your second LAN port also, which is fast Ethernet 0/1 also, no IP and default is shut down. So by default, all LAN ports and WAN ports are shut down. And line con 0 means console port 0. Password is not configured. Aux port is not configured. VDY password is not configured. So this is empty. This is the default status actually. Okay. So like few commands are given in privileged mode to verification. Let us switch to next mode is global configuration mode from privileged mode. Configure space terminal. Is configure terminal command enter. So what is this mode? What's the name of this mode?
Global mode.
Global configuration. How we can say the global configuration mode?
Configure hash.
Config hash. It's a global configuration. Right. From here, you can start doing configuration. Okay. So what is the first task? Host name. Actually, you can give any host name, like host name space HYD. See, host name is changed. Like you can configure any host name, but in real networks, in real time, recommended is host name always should be a combination of area code and company code, or area name and company name. It is the best practice actually. Then you can easily find out, so this device belongs to which area and which branch. Like example, I can write host name ZTAM R1. Say some meaningful name actually, is Zoom Technologies Amirpet Router 1. ZTAM, Zoom Technologies Amirpet Router 1. So by seeing this code, now my team and me, we can understand, no, this is devices belongs to so and so organization, so and so customer, and so and so area, and that area router 1, like ZTAM router 2, ZTAM router 3, ZTAM switch 1, ZTAM switch 2, or you can use ZT underscore AM underscore R1, Zoom Technologies Amirpet router 1, like this. Enter. So name is changed. Like this, we can set host name for device. We want to change the host name, we can change the host name like this. Host name space India. So not only assigning host name, let me show you how to remove the host name also. Not only host name, any configuration to remove. To remove any configurations, you can add just no command. No host name, no command, no host name, no IP address, no password. Like any configurations you want to remove, you can just add what? No command actually. Get it? Yeah. See, host name. To remove it, you can just add starting is no space host name. That's all. Enter. Host name is removed. Default name is router 1. If it is a switch, you can see switch is the default. Switch config hash. Like that. Right. I'll continue with host name is India. You can use up arrow keys. So previous commands will come back. So host name in. This is done. First task is done. Second task, IP address to LAN interface. So now we need to assign an IP address to router LAN interface to fast Ethernet port. In IP address, there are two categories, private IP and public IP. Way to use private IP address? Private IPs are used to private network, means within a LAN, within an organization. Within a LAN means LAN port. So for router LAN port, what type of IP address need to assign? Is it private IP or public IP? It should be private IP. So that private IP can be class A private IP, or it can be class B, or it can be class C. But here a requirement is only 5 hosts, very few hosts, 5 hosts. Then which class IP address do you recommend? A or B or C?
C.
So what is the class C private IP address range? Start with 192.168, correct? So example, I'm assigning IP address for class C private IP address is 192.168. 1.0 is a network ID. 1.255 is a broadcast ID. We can't use both actually. So for routers always first usable IP is recommended to use. 1.1 is a router IP. So fast Ethernet router LAN port IP is a router IP actually. Okay. Yeah. And there is one fundamental rule. This is very important. In our sessions, I will repeat this rule in multiple times. So please remember, a fundamental rule is router LAN interface IP address and LAN users IP address always must be in same network. So what are the network you have assigned? All device in the LAN must be in same network IP address. So this computer you can assign 192.168, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 like this. Right. Let us assign IP address. Where we can assign IP address? Hmm? Assigning IP address is possible in interface mode. Yeah. Second type command is interface. And what type of interface do you have? Is it Ethernet port? Then type Ethernet. If it is a fast Ethernet, then type command is fast Ethernet. If it is a gigabit Ethernet, type gigabit Ethernet. Based upon your LAN port type, command into interaction. As per my example, it is a fast Ethernet port, port number 00 I connected. Remember? So interface fast Ethernet space 0/0. Enter. Now we can see it's a hyphen if config hyphen if. It's interface mode. Here you can assign IP address. IP space address. Don't copy the commands. I will give the commands, list of commands, all commands one by one. First listen carefully. I think you are busy in writing, copying on the notes, right? Call the commands. Don't do that. Close your books. It's just focused on how I'm configuring action. So you can type interface fast Ethernet 0/0 IP space address. For example is what? 192.168.1.1. Enter. Showing is what? Incomplete command. Means command is not completed. Why it is not completed? Every IP address must be assigned followed by subnet mask. Like how my router will understand which octet is network portion, which octet is a host portion. We must assign what? Subnet mask. So space 255.255.255.0. Enter. If you're not getting any error means a command is okay. Done. Host name is done. IP address to LAN port. Activate LAN port. Next is by default your LAN port is what? Shut down. Even if you check here from PC to switch LEDs. LEDs in green color actually. PC LEDs are in green. Even switch ports are green. So switch to PCs are active. But if you see router to switch, what is LED status? It's red. Why? Because your router port is shut down. Once if you activate, then this also become a green actually. So router ports are by default shut down, but the switch ports are what? No need to give, no need to activate the switch ports because by default switch ports are active. You just connect a computer, you'll come to a green actually forwarding. Okay. So let us activate the LAN port. I have one question here. Anyone remember how to remove host name? What command
Yes.
will you use to remove
No,
host name?
no host name.
No host name. How to remove IP address?
No IP address.
No IP address.
No
No,
IP.
no,
How to remove password?
No
No.
No
password.
password. Already this command is enabled. What is this command?
Shut down.
How to remove that?
No shutdown.
no shit.
Simple. So if you enter no shutdown, then your fast Ethernet port will come to upstate. Already, this command is enabled. What is that command? Is shutdown. If you remove that command, then port will come to upstate. So to remove any configuration, what is command? No. So if you use no shutdown and hit enter, see we got two log messages. What is that? Interface fast Ethernet port number 00 change straight to up. Protocol on fast Ethernet 0/0 change state to up. Remember everyone, for any interface, it can be LAN interface, it can be WAN interface, it can be virtual interface, it can be loopback interface, it can be tunnel interface, any interface. If you create, you should get always 2 times up message. One for interface should be up, and that interface protocol also should be up. So always remember you should get 2 times up message. If you got only 1 time up message, your port is not completely active. There is some issue. Then your port will not forward the traffic. When you get 2 messages, then only port is ready to forward the traffic action. Now you can check here, a router to switch also, your LED become what? Green. So as per fundamental rule, whatever the router IP we assign, your end user's IP address should be in the same network. So let us assign IP address. Desktop IP configuration 192.168.1.1 is the router IP, 1.2 is a PC IP. Then what will be the default gateway? 1.1 will be the default gateway, right? Yeah. Ping 192.168.1.1. See, point is, I didn't configure default gateway IP address here. Without assigning default gateway, from my computer, can I reach to router? We just assign 1.2 IP address. Default gateway is not configured. Now from this PC, can we reach to router or not?
No.
No. Okay. Right. See, point is, what is my PC IP address? One 192.168.1.2. What is router IP address? 192.168.1.1. So PC IP, router IP, both are in same network or in different network?
Same network.
Same.
Then default gateway is required.
required.
No need, na. So when exactly default gateway is required? If the user is trying to reach for the different network, then default gateway is required. So even without assigning the default gateway, you can reach to same network actually. Yeah, so 0% loss. If your destination is a different network, then default gateway must be configured. Get it? Yes. So these are tasks done. Now from privileged mode to come back to the previous mode, you can use command exit. So exit command will give you one step back, just one step back. So we'll come to global configuration mode. Again, if you do exit, one step back, you'll come to privileged mode, from global config to privileged mode. What is the command to user mode to privileged mode? Anyone remember? User mode to switch to privileged mode. What is the command?
Enable.
Enable. From privileged to user?
Exit.
Exit.
Again, I repeat. What is the command from user to privilege?
Enable.
Enable.
Privilege to user?
Exit.
Disable.
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 Enable, disable.
Okay.
Okay. From privilege mode, if you do exit command, it will come to out of all modes. You don't get user mode actually. Completely out of mode. Use disable. Enter. Now we got which mode?
User.
User mode.
User mode. From here, if you do exit, out of all modes actually. Yeah. So I'm out of all modes. And I can see there is one message showing is what? India router console port 0 is now available. Now anyone can access this console port. It's just using a console port cable and connect it. If you press enter, I'm getting a privileged mode. If you type enable command, you'll get a privileged mode, and there you can get complete information of router, and you can go to global configuration mode. You can change the configuration, you can remove the configuration. So full privilege. So now our router is not secured. I mean, router console port is not secured. So we need to protect it by setting a password. Where you can set password? And which mode we can set a password? Line mode. Is it possible to switch from user mode directly to line mode?
Now we have to global
No.
configuration mode.
We need to switch to one more mode, like user to privilege, privilege to global config to line. Help me commands like how to switch over to privilege mode from user. Yes. What's the command?
Enable.
Enable. Okay, I'm in privilege mode. Next, how to get global configuration mode?
Config.
Configure terminal.
Configure terminal. Yes. Now remember, like what is our task now?
Setting password to
Set
console.
a password.
Setting password to which port?
Console port.
Console port. So where you can set password to console port and which mode?
Line mode.
Line mode.
Line.
And type line. Password to which port?
Console.
Console. Port number? Starting only one port, 0.
0.
So line console 0. Enter. Done. So we are in line mode now. Now you can set a password. I'm creating a password. Password space. You can use any password. My example, Zoom. Enter. So password is created. And how to activate the password? To activate the password, you can use login. And you can exit. Done. Password space password is creation of password. Login command is used to activate that password. Now I have created a password and activated a password. How we can test whether my router console port is secured or not now?
By connecting and checking.
So try to exit from all modes and try to relog in. Then you can get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. I have a doubt. So is it like space sensitive? Like if I give a space after the hash, will it still execute?
Where space?
Like after the hash, if I give space and exit, then will it execute, or is it like
Yeah,
mandate
it
that
will
it should?
execute.
Okay.
So space doesn't matter. Space matters only in passwords. So don't use a space in passwords, okay? If it's a space, then password also space actually.
Okay.
So exit from here, again exit or disable and exit. Same message. Now login, enter. User access verification. So router console port is secure now. Only authorized persons can log in. Who knows the password that persons, right? Now the good advantage of Cisco IOS is here, while you're typing the password, you don't show any hash or stars or dots, nothing actually. Because someone can monitor your screen, we call shoulder surfing. So by seeing the dots and stars, they don't know what is your password, but they can come to know your password is how many characters by seeing the dots and stars. So if someone knows, oh, so and so on router console password is 4 characters, then they can try with the 4 combinations, 4 characters combinations. At any end of the day, they may get the password actually. So there are chances actually. So good thing in Cisco IOS is you don't show any dots and stars. You just need to type your password properly. Done. Enable. If you type wrong password, you'll ask again password actually. Got it? Yeah. Next point. Now I'm in which mode? What is the name of this mode?
User mode.
User mode for which type of engineers? Junior, right? Junior admins is a user mode. Example, if I'm a user mode, if I'm a junior administrator. As a junior administrator, I need to work on which mode?
User mode.
User mode. But as a junior administrator, what if I type enable command in user mode? If I type enable command, then as a junior administrator, I'm getting which mode?
Privileged mode.
If I'm in privilege mode, can I get complete information of router? Yes, because I can execute all show commands here. So then where is security? Here all junior engineers is coming to privilege mode. From privilege mode, you can go to global config mode, then you can remove configuration. Correct? So we need to set password between the user mode and privilege mode also. So that password we call enable password. Means if you type enable, it should ask password. We call enable password. Configure terminal, enable password, example CCNA. Done. Password is enabled. Now let us check. Disable. If you type enable, what is asking?
Password.
Password. CCNA. Enter. Like this. Okay. Next point. In real networks, what we do from router console port connected to console cable to admin PC. From here, you're configuring like this actually, configurations. What about your engineers? There are 5 engineers, like 5 admins here actually. So all 5 engineers want to log into router at the same time. Then how? A network engineer connected to directly console port. Through console port, you can configure. What about your remaining users?
They should have a separate configuration password.
Why?
There is
IP
users,
access.
there is admins from remote location. How these users can log into router now?
Telnet by telnet.
So we enable telnet functionality. Okay. So we need to create virtual logins, virtual sessions via LAN port or via WAN port. They can access, they can log into router. Either LAN or WAN, we need to create virtual logins. Config terminal, line, VTY, virtual terminals. How many sessions you want to create? Like you need to create a 10 sessions, I mean 10 logins, then you can use 0 space 9. 0 space 9 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Total how many sessions? 10. Like you want to create 100 sessions, 0 to 99. Or you want to create only 5 sessions, 0 to 4. So minimum 5 sessions. 0 to 4, password, Zoom, login. Then so 5 sessions you have enabled. So 5 users can be local or it can be remotely. At the same time they can log in actually. 5 times you can log in. That login can be from local or it can be remote. Anyway, this router, India router can allow 5 users, 5 logins at the same time. Want to increase, you can create more also. So I just created 5 examples. Then see the example from PC command prompt, just PC command prompt. Now we don't require any console cable putty software. Just for your PC command prompt, you can use a telnet with router IPs 192.168.1.1. Asking password, Zoom, enable CCNA. So from now and further configuration you can do from here actually. Like this, you can log in. This is virtual login. The point is all configuration part. Whatever you have configured, it's all configurations. Primarily will store where
RAM.
RAM. What is the file name of RAM? Running config. RAM is temporary storage now. So what happened if my router is shut down, power is off, or rebooted? So can you get all the host name, IP address, no shutdown, passwords, everything? No, it'll be empty now. Then how we can permanently save the configuration? NVRAM. Agree? What is the file name of NVRAM?
Startup.
Startup config. So we need to copy files from running to startup config. You can use this command from privilege mode, copy space running hyphen config space startup hyphen config. Enter. Destination file name is asking, is it startup config? Yes, it is startup config. Enter. Done. So your all configurations is permanently saved in NVRAM. Now your router is rebooted multiple times, so no problem actually. This is one method to save the configurations, or you can use write memory, or you can use shortcut is WR. Simple. The best practice is WR command. But for certifications, exam point of questions, you can use copy command only. Technically, copy command is right. Okay. Yeah. I'm sharing all the commands for initial configuration of router. Say show version, show running config, show startup config, config terminal, host name India, IP address, to set console put password. Okay. Enable password, and one more is enable secret. What is this is, see, if you use show running config command.
Can you send that the one which you showed in the notepad
Yeah, I'll send it. Wait a
to
minute.
everyone?
Show running config command. If you enter, you can see password clearly actually. What is enable password? CCNA. So someone is monitoring your screen in backend. They can come to know your password. Your enable password is CCNA. So Cisco will not recommend you to use this enable password. Cisco recommended to use one another password called enable secret. Example, oh, Cisco, enable secret. If you do show running config command, your enable secret is encrypted. Enable password is CCNA, but enable secret only works. No, enable password will not works actually. So instead of creating enable password, directly can create enable secret. Enable password is clear text, enable secret is encryption text. There is a difference actually. Okay. More dots. Yes, file. I'm sharing on chat. for everyone. See, for every practical, I'll share the commands. You also do one thing, create one folder and make it as this notepad files action. Okay. Yeah. So these are tasks. You try to practice on 3 routers. This is one router, right? You practice on 3 routers. Router 2, router 3. Practice on 3 routers with different IP addresses.
Balu, you showed in the notepad, right? The commands and all. Can you
Yeah.
see for us for?
I have already sent right in chart.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I did not look into that. Is there any way in the WhatsApp can we get it this one so that everybody can?
Yeah, anyone please share that in WhatsApp, that same file. Okay. The one who log in through mobile phone, they can easily share through WhatsApp.
I just shared in WhatsApp. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All good. So please practice on 3 routers and save the file on folder. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Have a good day too.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Good day.
Thank you.
Enggak tahu apa sih